Hello everyone! Today we're going to be jumping back into Standard with a blue-white tempo deck. Now this deck is a fairly popular deck in the current meta, and I'm sure you may have seen it on the ladder before, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how this works, a little bit of why this is very powerful, and why I think this is a very strong deck, and then let you guys decide for yourselves. Now, first and foremost, let's talk a little bit about what we've included here. Deck list is down in the description if you want to skip by this, but I am going to talk about some of our noteworthy inclusions. So the first important thing to take note of is what are our threats in this deck. We have Monastery Mentor, which can create a very wide board for us, and with prowess, that wide board is going to get larger and larger as we cast more spells. We have Haughty Djinn, who's going to get better and better over the course of the game. With a larger power based on the number of instant or sorcery cards in our graveyard. Now we do have Picklock Prankster. It's a 1/3 with Vigilance. It's not really going to do much for us in terms of combat power, but this is something that we can use to hit our opponents with. And then the last thing that we've included is one of on the Restless Anchorage. This will give us some map tokens when we attack, which will help make our creatures a little bit bigger, maybe get us through better blocks. It has flying, so it's evasive and lets us past board wipes. Now we do only have one copy of this because we don't want to lean too heavily into our creature land plan, since we do have plenty of counter magic and ways of dealing with what our opponent's getting up to. Now the main threat we're looking for in this deck is Monastery Mentor. But how do we want to get these out on the battlefield? We can either cast them, or if there was some issue with that, we can use a spell like Recommission or Helping Hand to get any of our big creatures back onto the battlefield. If they die, we bring them back. If they get milled with something like Picklock Prankster's ability, we can get them back, and all of that is really good for us. Now, keeping in tune with that, we have included ways of getting things into our graveyard. So like I mentioned, Picklock Prankster is here, letting us mill 4 cards and get an instant or sorcery back. It has the added bonus of letting us grab either Recommission or Helping Hand if we hit a creature, or maybe even a removal spell or a counter spell if that's what we need instead. Chart of Course will let us discard a card. We can of course discard a creature and then play it back for cheap. So for 3 mana, we might be able to Chart a Course, discarding Monastery Mentor and playing Helping Hand to get it back onto the battlefield. That's pretty mana efficient and pretty good. Let's see. We also have Consider here, which will let us surveil. Speaking of surveilling, we do have 2 copies of the Meticulous Archive, just the Surveil land. Again, I didn't want to have more than 3 lands that enter the battlefield tapped in here. I feel like that might be a little detrimental towards our small mana curve, but we do like surveilling, and we do want to have the utility offered by that particular creature. Aside from that, we've got some removal and counter magic, so Get Lost to get rid of some of our opponent's creatures. They do get to create map tokens, but we can try and counter some of their other stuff as well, so we're really only using this for high value threats. And then when it comes to counter magic, we have Spell Pierce on the low end, so we can hold up a 1-mana counter spell. We have Make Disappear, where we can actually sacrifice some of the Monastery Mentor tokens for that casualty, which could be really strong for us. And then we also have Protect the Negotiators, which is going to get stronger and stronger as our board gets wider and wider, as it will when we go ahead with that Mentor. So yeah, that's pretty much the deck. Land base is fairly straightforward. Only lands I didn't really talk about were Otawara and Aganja, which are auto-includes in any deck of their color since they're so strong. But yeah, if you guys have been enjoying my content, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on my latest videos. And if you do enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like. Let's go ahead and see how this deck does. Alright, so we've got our opponent going first, but a pretty decent hand here. Certainly don't mind keeping this. Alright, we'll start with the Plains. Next turn we have Chart a Course. We can discard the Mentor, get it back with Recommission. Alright, so let's go Chart a Course. We'll discard the Monastery Mentor. Then next turn, if we find a land, we've got Recommission Consider. If we don't find a land, we could just Recommission. We're playing up against another tempo deck, No More Lies, sure. Alright. So yeah, opponent's probably holding onto a counterspell, but we'll go for it anyway. No reason not to. Alright, so we do get it. And we'll end the turn here. Okay, just making a knight, that's fine. Now we're hanging on to prowess just in case they attack with the schooner. Yep. That's fine. We know that they're gonna draw the Wandering Emperor. So we'll block like this. Cast Consider. They can counter it if they want to. And honestly, I'd be happy if they used their counterspell on that. And drawing Ottawa is gonna be fine for us. Alright, everything stays in graveyards now. I think we just hold on to all of our options here. Not gonna use any of our spells while our opponent's clearly holding up the mana for their counterspell. Alright. I do think we go for Get Lost here. We'll stop some of that damage. If they do choose to counter, then they run into an issue. See? No need to kick it. We'll counter that. Make some more guys. They won't be able to play the Wandering Emperor here, and yeah, it looks like we've got it. Alright, going first here. I like it. I'll keep it. This looks good. Gonna start with Sleight of Hand. What do I want for us? I think I am gonna take the Djinn here. I'm gonna use Chart a Course, discarding the Djinn next turn, and then we have Recommission for turn 3 Djinn, holding up Consider. Chart a Course. Yep, discard the Djinn. Okay, we find another Recommission, so let's go Recommission, grab the Djinn. And honestly, hold up, make disappear here. We can consider if not. You can make a case for Sleight of Hand. We can also use Picklock Prankster. Yeah, this is why we save our counterspell, and we've got it. Alright, so we've got our opponent going first, but this is fine. Let's start with the Coast and play Sleight of Hand. I'm gonna grab Picklock Prankster. Alright, so probably an enchantments deck, yeah. So it's almost certainly gonna be worth it to kill this guy. Definitely don't want them benefiting from the cheaper enchantments. Generous Visitor. Maybe crack a map token, try and get a land. Next turn, I think we play our Archive as our tap land. Hold up 2 mana for either Prankster or Get Lost. Yeah. Alright, so we want Get Lost for Calyx, or maybe make Disappear. Either way, we're going to Surveil here. I don't want that land particularly, so we'll get rid of that. If they do find a land, and play Calyx, we can counter it. Audacity. Alright, I think we will actually just go ahead and use Get Lost here. We can just tie up our opponent by holding up counterspells and taking advantage of their lack of lands here. Doesn't matter if they have map tokens, they won't be able to use them without a creature. Kami, so we'll counter that. And then Picklock Prankster. Honestly, we'll grab Protect the Negotiators. That'll be fine. Let's go Chart a Course here. We'll discard the Coast, since it'll enter tapped. Play an untapped land. And now we have Make Disappear and Consider being held up. You could make a case for getting out Picklock Prankster, but that's just 1 damage. It's not really going to do too much for us. Land. Probably Calyx. Honestly, I think I'm going to kick Protect the Negotiators here. That'll give us our 1-1. Then we'll play Otawara. Play a Picklock Prankster. Attack for 1. As long as we keep our counter spells, we're going to be in a good spot. Calyx again. Go Make Disappear. Picklock Prankster. I'm going to grab Recommission. Let's go Recommission. Monastery Mentor. We'll attack like that. And I will play out our other Picklock Prankster. And then end the turn here. The reason I didn't play the other Recommission is just because I think something's gonna happen this turn. See who they pick. Yeah, they picked the Mentor, so we'll use Consider here. Let's see. We actually don't need Helping Hand, so we'll get rid of that. Recommission. Mentor. Coast. Swing out. Down to 6. Opponent's at 5. So they need something really good here, I would imagine. Yep. We've got it. Alright, so looks like we've got our opponent going first. This is a pretty good starting hand, though, so I will go ahead and keep. With not much to do turn 1, we'll go ahead and play the Archive. We'll get rid of Helping Hand, because we already have a Recommission. Alright. Okay, so some graveyard shenanigans going on. Let's play the Coast here, and make sure we're holding up counter spells. Yeah. Don't know what our opponent's thinking about here. And I am concerned about the Atraxa coming back. Let's see. Beseech the Mirror. Alright. We'll just Spell Pierce that. Go ahead, play a blue land. We'll pass the turn here. I do want to continue holding up our counterspell. We can use Picklock Prankster if our opponent doesn't do anything. I'm actually okay with that. I only really want to counter something that's going to be impactful towards their board state. We can take some damage for now. Another Atraxa, sure. Alright, let's go for Picklock Prankster here. Get Lost is going to be a clean way to deal with an Atraxa. Let's see, is there anything in our graveyard worth getting? There's not yet. So let's play our tap land here. No need to go crazy. Hold up, Make Disappear. And we have Get Lost. Next turn we can play out the Mentor. Could be strong, yep. Breach the Multiverse. Yep. So that's what we've been saving that for. See, At this point, it actually doesn't particularly matter what we play out, so I think we're gonna go for the Mentor, and then we'll hold up Get Lost. If they get Atraxa, they'll have the ETB trigger, and that's okay. But we'll be able to get her off the board. Lots of Modern Ages here. Okay. That's fine. We'll take another 2 damage. And it's back to us. So now we have Make Disappear available to us. I think I'm gonna play out the Djinn. We'll play our land. And then, I think I will just attack here, because they'll know that this is obviously a beneficial trade for me, because of prowess. Even though I don't really have something that puts me in a good position, that's a risk that they wouldn't necessarily take. Draw and discard. And we have another counterspell. Okay, another land. Next turn, we'll be able to get down our Picklock Prankster. We could also make a case for using our Restless Anchorage. Alright, Beseech. Bargained. We'll let that happen, and then we'll counter the spell that they get. That way both of those go into the graveyard. Nope, looks like we've got it. Alright, so we've got our opponent going first, but a great hand from the looks of it. We'll play out our coasts first. We're holding up Spell Pierce now. Next turn we can cast Chart a Course. Alright, so let's go Chart a Course. We'll discard the Mentor here. Just based on what we've got going on here, I'm going to go Recommission, hold up Spell Pierce. We have multiple copies of Helping Hand, which is nice, but I do want that extra +1/+1 counter. This means we can potentially use our Mentor as a blocker. Alright, I am going to go ahead and Spell Pierce that. They can choose to pay the 2 if they want, but we are now outside, of range, so they'll have to use another removal spell if they do that. Oh, we've got it. Alright. Alright, everyone, so there you have it. I think that this deck is pretty fun to play in Standard. I think it's good. There's a lot of good things that we can do with it. It has a very easy play style, and definitely focuses on denying your opponent's late game while you gradually build up a stronger and stronger board. Definitely let me know what you think about this deck and whether or not you're going to go ahead and play it. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like, and if you have any ideas for another deck that you'd like to see me play, why don't you let me know in a comment down below. I'll see you all next time.